Are you thinking about buying your first home? Whether that's here in the greater Cincinnati area or anywhere for that matter, today's video, I'm going to give you a game plan for how to buy your first home. We're going to cover everything from getting pre-approved to actually looking at homes to putting in an offer and what that contract means. We're going to talk about inspection periods, title insurance, all these things. I'm going to try to be nice and concise so you're not watching a 30-minute video, but I want to make sure you're informed and so you don't have any questions or doubts when it comes to buying your home. Real quick, if you're thinking about buying in the Cincinnati area, my name is Evan. I am a local Cincinnati realtor. I'd love to help you out or just answer any questions that you may have if I don't answer them in this video. My information is on the screen, or you can also use the link in the description. You can call me, text me, email, or there's even a link to book a call with me. So if you want to do a face-to-face, even if it's over Zoom or something like that, I would love to answer any questions you may have. Without any further ado, let's get started. All right, so step number one is connecting with a lender. Now, really before this, it would probably be connecting with a real estate agent. It kind of just depends. I am gonna have a video on how to choose a great real estate agent if you're wanting to use an agent. And so I'll leave most of that conversation for that video. So for me personally, when I bought my house before I was an agent years ago, I actually did go to the lender first because I didn't know what to do, and they recommended me a realtor. I would be cautious on that because in certain situations, the lenders will get a kickback for referring you to a certain agent, and a lot of times it might be a man or woman who has been really successful, but now they have a team under them and they might have 20 agents, and the lender's like, hey, here you go, Joe or Susan. And you're not actually going to get Joe or Susan, you're going to get somebody who maybe they just got their license 6 months ago. And so that's not always a bad thing, but I would just be cautious about getting referred a realtor from a lender. So in this case, if you did work with me, I have a few lenders that I like to use. There is no kickback. They don't get a kickback if I refer you to them, or vice versa. And so this is really a really important first step. It's basically like getting your blueprint for your budget and everything else. And so when you go through this process, you're gonna wanna make sure that you've had the same job for at least 30 days. They're gonna wanna see 30 days of pay stubs. You wanna make sure that that your employment is guaranteed. So if you have like a seasonal job where you're like, oh, in like 2 months, like it might start being a slow season. There are workarounds, but in general, they're going to want to see guaranteed employment, and they're going to look at your credit score and everything like that as well. During this process, they're also going to check to see what kind of debt you might have. It's very common for most buyers to have debt, so don't worry about that. Not all debt is considered bad debt. A lot of times, like student loans, for example, that's a common debt, and that's really not a bad debt to have. A lot of these can actually help build up your credit. So student loans, car loans, they're gonna look at things like that, and they're gonna determine your debt to income ratio. And I won't get into the specifics of what ratios they're looking for, but your lender will be able to talk you through that. And then eventually they're gonna say, hey, hopefully they're gonna say, hey, you're pre-approved for, let's just say $300,000. Now that's awesome. You might think, all right, I'm gonna go tell my realtor, let's go start looking at homes for $300,000. But really, you wanna be careful about just going out and saying, all right, awesome, I got a pre-approved $300,000, because in my experience, a lot of times you get pre-approved for probably more than you should, believe it or not. And so maybe you got pre-approved for $300,000, or maybe it was $500,000, but what you really want to pay attention to is that monthly payment. And your lender is going to be able to give you an estimated monthly payment. They'll be able to say like, hey, if you spend around X amount, it'll be roughly this amount. And then if you spend around this amount, you'll pay roughly this amount. But you want to keep in mind, it's a little different than renting. So you're going to have your mortgage payment, which is going to include principal and the interest on that loan amount. But you're also going to have, unless you put at least 20% down, you're going to have mortgage insurance. So that's required. FHA, if you do an FHA loan, which is common for first-time home buyers, they're going to require that. And even in a conventional loan, if you don't have 20% down, they're going to require that as well. And so that could be another 100 to 150 or more, depending on the size of home or the sale price of the home. But if you're in that $200 to $300,000 range, I would expect 100 to 150, maybe a little more a month just for mortgage insurance. It's called PMI, premium mortgage insurance, or private mortgage insurance, sorry. And then you're also going to have your homeowner's insurance, and now that is legally required for you to have. And so that you could be looking at, it really differs on depending on what state you're in, what city you're in, but you're looking at, you know, 1,200 to 2,000, possibly more. Again, there's a lot of factors that play into that for the year, and so obviously you would split that up by the month. And so there's a lot of things you need to consider, and even property taxes as well. One thing I quickly found out when I bought my first home was property taxes can just go up every year, which means everybody says, hey, your mortgage, like when you buy a house, you're gonna have that same payment and everything around you is going up in price, but rent might be going up, but your mortgage is gonna stay the same. And that's really not true, because your property taxes could hypothetically go up every single year, which means your payment that you're paying every month is going to go up every single year. Now, it's true that your mortgage didn't go up, but you really are lumping all those things into one. When you make that payment, you're not making separate payments most of the time. You're going to be making that one payment to the lender, and then they'll take care of getting it to your homeowner's insurance and property taxes and all of that stuff. So I know I kind of rambled there, but that really covers kind of step 1 and 2. So the process of getting pre-approved and connecting with a lender, but then also understanding the amount you're pre-approved for and your monthly payment amount. And real quick, I want to touch on, depending on the lender you choose, they might look into this for you, but I always recommend that you do your own research, because there's so many grants and programs out there that you can't guarantee that that lender is going to know about all of them. The lender that I personally recommend a lot in my area is Luminate Home Loans, and the loan officers at Luminate are awesome, and they do know about a lot of different grants on the Kentucky and Ohio side, and even Indiana. But again, there's so many. There's some that are just specific to that town or neighborhood. You have some that are specific for, like, if you're a nurse or a firefighter, or if you work in a school system. They have some for like freshly graduated people. So it's just, there's so many out there. Again, talk to your lender about that. They'll be able to do some research for you too, especially if you ask, but don't just assume that they're looking up all these grants and down payment assistance programs, because they may not be doing that. And there are some programs out there where you can get a loan for your down payment. It might be from the city directly or another program, and you kind of pay it off over time. But a lot of these are also grants where you don't have to pay it off. Now you do have to qualify. You'll have to meet a minimum credit score. You might have to have be below a certain income threshold. There's a lot of different requirements. Every one of them is different. I'd highly recommend talking to your lender about that. Or if you use me, I would love to help you out. I do a lot of research on those, because who doesn't want to use free money to buy a home? All right, so step 4, we're finally at the exciting part where you get to do your home search. Now, what I'm gonna do if you choose me, and I think a lot of realtors do this, they're gonna set you up on a portal search. So whether it be the Cincinnati MLS or wherever you're looking, there's gonna be an MLS, and they'll be able to set you up on a search. And when you meet with your realtor for the first time, or maybe after you get pre-approved, they should kind of walk you through this process. We're gonna be like, okay, here's our budget. We're looking in this range. We want this many bedrooms, this many bathrooms. Do we want our primary bed to be on the main floor, or can it be on the second floor? Do we want a basement? Does it need to be finished? Do we want a fenced-in yard? Do we want half an acre or more? Are we okay with just like a smaller lot, a 1/10 of an acre? There's so many different things that you can set on this search. And so most realtors will probably do that, but me personally, I go a little further. So I set myself on the search as well, and that way I'm able to see immediately when homes come available, because this is my full-time job. Your full-time job is not to search for homes. It might be fun to scroll late night on Zillow, but I understand if you're a nurse, you might be working 12-hour shifts where you can barely have time to pull out your phone. So that's why I set myself up on that search as well. And I'll send you a few homes and we'll try to say 3 to 5 in a given time. I mean, there's times where you only see one home and it's like, hey, I call up the realtor, they've already got multiple offers, we have to go see this right now. But in an ideal world, you do not want to see more than 3 to 5, even 5 is kind of pushing it, in a single day. And the reason I say that is you can start to lose track of what the first couple homes looked like. And of course you can always go back to the pictures, or maybe you took pictures on your phone, but there's just certain things that pictures do not do justice. You'll learn this as you go through these homes. A lot of these realtors, myself included, I mean, we hire professional photographers. Now, I always make sure that my listings, we're getting the best representation of the home, right? I don't want to hide any defects. That's illegal anyways. And I want the buyer to know what's happening. But you will see sometimes there's a little funny business going on. The pictures are not matching up to what you actually see in the home. And so that's why I recommend keeping it at 3, like I said, 5 on the high end. Take the rest of that day to kind of reset, talk it over with your spouse or friend or family member, whoever you might be buying with or just want to take advice from. And then, okay, I really like these 2. Maybe we go see those 2 again. This is the biggest investment of your life, so do not be ashamed to ask your realtor to go see another home that you've already seen a second time or a third time even. All right, so let's say you finally chose your home, you're ready to put in an offer, and you're like, I have no idea what to do. Like, how much do I offer? Like, they're asking $225, but like, should I offer more? Like, I really want to make sure I get this home. There's a lot that goes into that, and again, a good realtor is going to guide you through this process. They would have already probably walked you through the purchase contract, so you know what's in there. The last thing you want to do is have your realtor explain to you all these terms in the purchase contract when you need to be getting an offer in. You have a deadline of like 2 hours. So hopefully your realtor has already gone through the purchase contract with you and kind of explained some of these steps. And again, a good realtor also, before you put in an offer, what they're going to do is they're going to look at comparable homes sold in this area over the last, maybe it's 3 months, 6 months, a year, kind of depends on the area. And they're going to be able to see like, okay, most of the homes that are a 3-bed, 2-bath, that are roughly 1,500 square feet are selling for $250,000 to $260,000. So if a home is listed for, let's say, $245,000, there's a good chance you might have to offer over that to get the home. They're also going to call the listing agent, and the listing agent, they're not going to say, yeah, we have an offer, the first one's for this amount, the second one's for this amount, but they will tell you if they have multiple offers, because it's an advantage to them. Because now your agent's going to come back to you and say, hey, they already have multiple offers in, so you need to offer at least over asking price, whatever you're comfortable with. And again, there's a lot that I want to say in this particular part of the video and some of the other parts, but I don't want this to be a 30-minute video. I feel like I've been ranting a lot already. So I'm going to kind of move on, but if you have any questions, again, feel free to comment or text, call me, email me, whatever. I'd love to answer your questions, and I'm kind of a nerd about the real estate stuff, so I'd love to talk to you about it. So let's say you and your agent, you come to an agreement, not an agreement, it's your decision, but you decide, hey, we're going to offer X amount. Now you're going to put up earnest money. So you're going to have 72 hours to put up earnest money. Again, your agent should have already explained this to you. It does kind of depend on the purchase price of the home. There is no set amount, so it could be 500, it could be 1,000. Generally, it's going to be like 500 or 1,000. Now, when you start getting into like 700,000, 800,000, and higher up homes, that's when they might want to see more money up front. That's when you can start seeing 5,000 or maybe even 10,000 for these $1 million+ homes. It really just depends what earnest money is. A brief explanation, it's just showing your commitment to purchase the home. So it helps the sellers know that you are serious about buying this home. So you kind of put up that upfront commitment. Assuming all goes smooth and you close on that home, that money will go towards your down payment at closing. So let's say you did that, your offer gets accepted, and now you need to schedule an inspection. Some of these terms are going to depend on the contract, but in general, let's say you have 7 days to schedule this inspection. So your realtor will help you with that. They'll schedule an inspection. You can expect to pay around $500 for an inspection, possibly more if you want things like a termite test or a radon test. That's pretty prevalent in Cincinnati. And then when you get that initial inspection, a whole home inspection, they might come back and recommend that you do get a termite inspection, or they might say, hey, the electrical, like I would recommend getting an electrician out to look at some of this, or maybe a plumber out, maybe you need to get somebody on the roof. So that could inquire additional cost, but for the whole home inspection, I would recommend to budget around $500 for that. So you're gonna get the inspection back. Just keep in mind here, it doesn't matter if it's a brand new construction home and they were like, we're not gonna have anything written on this inspection report, everything's gonna be perfect. There will still be items marked on that inspection report. There always is with every home, no matter what. And so a good frame of mind to take when looking at this inspection report is not, oh my gosh, there's 100+ things that need to be fixed. It's, hey, is there anything here that is going to affect the safety of this home or the habitability of this home? If there are, then obviously we need to address that, and we need to get into some negotiations with the sellers. But a lot of times it's going to be things like outlets or older windows where maybe some of the seal is starting to give way a little bit, but it's not necessarily like the windows need to be replaced, even though they might say I'd recommend it in a year or two. It's going to be smaller things like that. And so you really have to keep this frame of mind of how serious is this. Now, again, only you can decide that. The windows being older, maybe that is serious to you, and you're like, hey, you know what? I don't want to buy this home unless the sellers are going to give us some money to replace the windows. But generally, that's not the best frame of mind to take. In this situation, we kind of talked about how the sellers already had multiple offers. So let's say you put in the best offer and they accepted yours, but keep in mind, there might be 3 or 4 other people that you beat out. And so if you come back from the inspection report and you're like, yeah, we want you to replace all the windows, all the outlets, there's some repairs on the roof, we want you to repair all those, and you give them a laundry list of $15,000, $20,000 worth of repairs, they're gonna be like, yeah, we're not doing that. We're just gonna call one of these guys and we're gonna get an offer from them. And so you really have to keep in mind, do you have that leverage? How bad do you want the home? Is it worth giving up the home over some of these items? And again, I could talk about just this section for at least 20 minutes. There's just so much that goes into it. It really depends. Each scenario is so different. Days on market, how many offers were in, did you ask over, did you get under asking price? There's just so much that goes into it. But your agent will be able to walk you through this and kind of how to negotiate. Hopefully they are an expert in that area, and they'll be able to get you the most value for your dollars that you're putting up without also sacrificing potentially the deal. All right, so you made it through the inspection period, so we're on the way to closing. The title company is now going to run a title search, and they're just going to check for any liens on the property. So this could be from the current homeowners or previous homeowners. A lot of times they're going to ask if you want to get title insurance. That is up to you. People do get it, people don't get it. I will never recommend that you don't get it, but the decision is obviously yours. It depends really. You can expect 500 to 1,000. Sometimes, depending on the deal, you can ask for the sellers to pay that cost. But what title insurance does is it protects you from any undiscovered liens. So if you move in and there was a lien on the home or the property, tax lien, anything like that, you'd be protected. And so really, it's one of those things that probably isn't necessary in a lot of times, but it would really suck if you didn't have it and you did need it. All right, so we've made it through all of that, and now we're either 1 day or 2 days out from closing, this is where you're gonna do your final walkthrough. Your realtor will schedule that with the sellers, and you'll get to go walk through the property one more time. Just make sure everything is as it was when you saw the home, or if you did request for some repairs and the sellers agreed, you would want to make sure everything was as is, but that the repairs had been done and in a professional way, and not just the sellers acting like they hired someone. And so you'll just walk through, make sure everything is good, and then you'll go to closing again the next day or maybe 2 days after, and you'll get instructions from your title company about how to send over the money, and they'll make you well aware there's a lot of scams, but a lot of times you'll wire the money, probably wire more money than you ever have in your life at that point. So you'll get a closing statement. It'll tell you exactly how much you need to wire for the down payment and the closing cost and all of that stuff. And so you'll go to the closing table and you'll sign a lot of paperwork, and then you'll get your keys and the home will be yours. And so at this point, you're free to go. You can go move into your home. Hopefully it's a stress-free move. All of those long nights and days of probably stressing about, are they gonna accept my offer? Or, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe this was on the inspection report. Like, are they gonna fix this? That's all paid off. You don't have to worry about that anymore. It is can be a very tiring and possibly long experience, but it is definitely well worth it. All right, guys, so that was the smart way to buy a home. I know I left a lot out, so if you're watching this and you're like, I can't believe he didn't mention this, again, I didn't want to make this video forever long. I'm sure most people don't love to get off work and then watch a 30-minute YouTube video about how to buy a home. So I wanted to make it somewhat short. So again, I've said it already a few times, but if you have any questions, or if there's a particular topic where you're like, I don't get this, or you didn't mention this, please comment below, or you can book a call, shoot me a text, email, whatever is easiest for you, whatever you're most comfortable with. I'd love to answer any questions you may have. If you need help with getting a lender and getting pre-approved and you're ready to make that next step, I can point you in the right direction and walk you through that. Even if you're like, I don't need you as a realtor, like I just want a good lender that I can trust, like I'd be happy to do that for you as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. If there's any video that you would like to see from me next, please let me know. Otherwise, thank you for watching.